right, so at this point, let's go ahead and take a quick moment to recap where we are. We already had pulled the dash back. Now we're in the process of getting ready to take the AC box out of the car. Now let's see if we remember everything that I had showed you. Now, there were two 10mm nuts along the top edge. One near the AC recirc housing, one further over in between two vents. We also had that one 10mm bolt that went on the floor. Now that was all the fasteners for the AC box on the inside, attaching it to the firewall. Now, remember on the outside we had two studs that protruded through. We had one below the coolant bottle and we had one next to it. Those two have been removed as well. And of course we had the AC lines we had to take loose and both coolant hoses. And I showed you that you could get the coolant hoses loose from the inside as well if you needed to. So that's where we are now. At this point, we're just going to pull the AC box assembly out. Now this truck happens to be a regular cab, so there's no back seat. If it had been an extended cab, there would be some AC ductwork on the driver's side down below the steering column that would attach to the AC box and ran up under the carpeting. That you would have had to have got loose. It just snaps on. This one doesn't have it, so unfortunately I can't show you. So at this point, we're going to get ready to pull the dash back a little bit further to make sure it's all the way where it was before, and now we move on to the AC box. Now, keep in mind on the AC box, we still had those two studs that went through the firewall. We got to take care when we're taking the box out that we don't scratch them up against the door panel. So just keep an eye on that. Everything should go fine. Like I said, watch out for the door panel. Go. Now we got the AC box. We'll set it off to the side. Alright, so the way this AC box works and the way we're going to separate it is the AC evaporator side can split this section from one side and then splits in the middle there. So it's actually multiple pieces. You got this whole assembly that would separate from this housing. Someone's kind of already broken off the tabs for this recirc door housing assembly. Now, unfortunately, they're part of the lower housing. We're going to make do with it the way it is. We can probably come up with something to keep it fastened down. Once it's bolted in place, there shouldn't be no problems either. Otherwise, they're going to have to spend some money for this lower housing. Now, usually there'd be some clips right here that you would have to pull up on to release. And when you did, you'd be able to tilt back. And then you got two on the back side as well. But before we do all that, we need to disconnect the connector that goes to the recirc door actuator, a little motor that actually rotates the door. Now this is being replaced because the door is actually broke. That's just one of the problems we have. And then we got the AC evaporator that's clogged up. Now just to recap, this is actually where you would be doing your cutting when you put your cabin air filter in there, and that door that snaps on that you can get from genosgarage.com. So we'll go ahead, we got that side unsnapped. We'll move on to the other side. You can actually see the snaps here. Take care not to break them. And there you go. We can sit that down, do a little quick wiggle. There we go, we got it all. There's our broken recirc door housing that we're going to be replacing once the part comes in. And that's where we do our cutting for the cabin filter. Alright, so this AC box, before we start splitting the halves right here, we've got some harnesses that kind of run through one box over to the other. Now you can take some pictures of where they're routed, or you can get you a permanent marker and make some marks. I've done this enough times, I know where they go. They also got little plastic inserts right here where they actually sit down in and kind of guide them. So you kind of follow your way around, go over here where the blower motor resistor was. You got another one right here. Pull that up. And once we get around, we're down to blower motor resistor and unplugging the blower motor. Once we get that off, we can set the wiring off to the side. Now there's nothing electrical on this portion of the box that we're going to be working on. It's all set to the side. Now, it's a matter of, they've got snaps holding everything down, little fingers, and metal clips, as well as a few Phillips screws. One thing I do recommend go ahead and doing is this foam piece that goes around the AC evaporator and the expansion block that's actually sticking out of the box. We need to go ahead and take that off. I just kind of get up under an edge, work it loose, because it's going to be attached to one side of the box and another side. And we're going to be splitting the box right down the middle. We'll set that to the side. We can spray some spray adhesive on here to go and reinstall it, and we should be fine there. Alright, so we got a total of 3 Phillips screws that help attach it as well. We got one right here. You rotate around a little bit further. you'll see there's one right here, and directly below that one, there's one right there, right below the expansion block. Now let's go ahead and orientate it the way it's supposed to be on the vehicle so you'll not lose where you are. Alright, so there's a total of 3 Phillips screws that hold it on as well that keep this thing attached. You got one here. Rotate over a little bit right above the expansion block. You've got one more. And then if you look a little further down below there, you got a third one. So 1, 2, and then 3. Go ahead and back those out. Now those spring-loaded clips I was telling you about, you can actually see one right here. It's kind of a rusty color. All you need to do is get up under something like a flat tip screwdriver to pop it loose. We got one here. Start following the seam around. Rotate it the best you need to. You'll probably find out there's 2 more. There's one more right here on the bottom. And then also on the very bottom, there's one in here as well. Go ahead and grab that last one, my little flat tip screwdriver like I was telling you. Down in there, pop it loose. There we go. That's all they are, is little metal clips right there. Make sure you don't lose them. Make sure you reinstall them. There's only 3 of them. Let's take a moment and look at these plastic snaps. These are actually going to be all the way around the perimeter of this case half that we're going to be separating, because we already got the Phillips screws off, all 3 of those, and we got the 3 metal clamps that hold on. Next thing are these fingers here. Now, just take care when you try to lift them up. They have a tendency to want to break off. Just lift it high enough to get it up to clear the little hook and work your way around the perimeter. As you are working it, kind of spread it apart a little bit to kind of help you, because from time to time they will reseat. So just work around the perimeter and try not to break them off the best you can. Alright, so we got all the snaps loose. Now we can start working this box apart. Work your way around. Make sure none of them reseated. That does happen, like I said. Just take your time. Start working it and get it apart. There you go. We've got both cases separate now. Now we'll worry about this case. Alright, so now that we've got this case apart from the other calf, now we can actually rotate it around, and now here's your AC evaporator. Now this side's clean, mind you. This is the portion that goes into the dash. The inlet is on the other side. So all we need to do really is just kind of wiggle it and kind of pull it up out of there. Kind of hold the box and lift up. And then that's when you're going to find on the other side your nice thick sheet of mud and dirt. So there you have it. Definitely was needed. There's nothing else you can do about it other than just replacing it or cleaning it the best you can. If you see any kind of leaks or anything in it, this is kind of an oily mess right here, so there's a good chance this thing may have been leaking. So we'll kind of clean it off, see if we can see anything, because it may end up needing an evaporator as well, no matter what. Now when it comes time to reinstall everything, everything's the opposite of removal. There's nothing special you need to worry about. Just make sure when you go back to the AC box inside the dash, make sure you don't scratch the door panel with the studs that stick out. Otherwise, just make sure you top off your coolant. You gotta use an AC machine, put Freon back in it, of course. Otherwise, everything's pretty much cut and dry. Just one thing I do recommend checking, make sure your brake lights work after you're done, because you were messing with the brake pedal switch. Verify that they're operating correctly. Otherwise, everything's pretty much just the opposite of removal. There's nothing to be scared of. People say dash work, taking the dash off. They get scared. They think, oh, I'm taking the whole interior out. It's made to come out, and they come out fairly easily. As you get into doing these jobs, you'll find out from start to finish, maximum probably took me about 3 hours to do. I can do it faster than that. Of course, when I'm filming it takes a lot longer. But otherwise, just follow the steps one by one, and you shouldn't have no problems going back with it. So there you have it. Now you know how to remove the dash and the AC box on this 2012 Ram 5500 series truck. It's going to work for some different years and different models as well. Anyway, you saw how to do it on this one. You also saw what happens. The evaporator gets clogged. You saw that this one's actually leaking. We had to replace it. And you also saw about installing that fresh air kit you can get from genomsgarage.com. So at this point, ask for any kind of thumbs up on YouTube. You can like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and check me out on Instagram as well. If you got any comments, suggestions about this video or any other kind of Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep related question, feel free to email me at david@motorcitymechanic.com. Otherwise, in the meantime, keep watching these videos. Yeah, smells like money. Smells like something to me, and it ain't money. Can't wait till this one's gone.